Nerd Takes.
Nerd Takes.
I'm Justin. This is John.
How's it going?
And we're here to talk about Bombergers. And we're going to be comparing the 2022 batch and the 2023 batch.
Yes.
Take it away, John.
Yes. Again, our friend Pat gave me a sample of the 2023 Bombergers, and I thought, hey, I've got a 2022. Let's see which one's better. So Bombergers, it's made by Michter's. It's actually called Bomberger's Declaration. Distillery bourbon honors the legacy of former distillery known as Bomberger's in the 1800s and later as Michter's in the 20th century. This is straight off the website. Please join us in toasting and celebrating American whiskey history with the outstanding small batch 108 proof Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Now, I did some research on 2022 and 2023, and they're basically the same thing. As far as the 2022 release continues the Bomberger's tradition of offering bold and beautiful 108 Kentucky straight bourbon with a rich and layered complexity due to a portion of the bourbon being aged in, I don't even know, chinquapin oak, whatever it is. Utilized aging was naturally air dried and seasoned for 3 years before being toasted and charred for exact specifications. Now, the 2023 release, same thing, same process, Same type of oak, same whatever.
So they age the oak first, then they
pick out this chinquapin oak and they dry it out, and then they season the oak for 3 years, and then they toast it.
Okay.
And then they toast it and they char the barrel, and then they put the bourbon in it to age.
Interesting.
For a longer set of time. This is non-age stated, so who knows how long it's sitting in the primary or the secondary barrels. MSRP is $100, and secondary is just a little bit more at $150. And again, they are both 108 proof because that's the standard proof for all Bomberger's releases.
Okay. So we're going to get into the nose, we're going to get into the palate, and we're going to get into the finish.
Yes. And eventually, hopefully, we'll be able to pick which one we like the most.
Yeah, okay.
This year, or, well, I guess last year or 2 years ago. So we're going to start with the 2022 is on the left.
Yep. You want to just do nose for both? Or you want to do let's do one at a time?
I don't know what you want to do.
You pick. You're the host.
Let's do both. We'll nose both, taste both, all that.
The 2022 on the nose, it's very sweet. Are you getting like
yeah, if you get too deep, it stings you a little bit. I just got a little too deep, which surprisingly for 108 proof, like it did sting me a little bit.
It's got a very distinct smell to it though. It's almost like, I don't know, I want to say it's like wheat or corn.
I mean, corn has sweetness to it, so that would make sense if you're tasting some sweetness. Smelling some sweetness.
Yeah, and then there's definitely some type of fruit in there. I want to say like an apricot.
That's an interesting poll. Now let's see what we got.
I don't know.
They don't go into
it's
that.
not. I'm not going into the berries. I always guess the wrong berry. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a berry. I think
I'm
going apricots or.
I get some oak.
Orange maybe. Okay. All right. So now we're gonna nose the 2023.
Yeah. Now we're gonna do the 23.
That's not as sweet. That's a little bit more. It's not rye spice. It's like it's almost like it's peppery. I hate to say allspice, but
Star anise. Is that a different one?
I like that. Yeah, it's
there
good.
You go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not allspice.
Okay. Now, I will say that the legs on both are actually pretty impressive for.
2023's got a little bit more.
I would agree with that. Yeah. Now, is there any, based on your depth of knowledge of bourbon, is there any type of scientific reason why a more recently opened bottle or even the one that was aged longer would have longer legs, or just kind of a crapshoot?
I don't know. I will say that the 2020, obviously the 2022 has been open longer.
Oh,
simply like they're both open because obviously we got a sample of the 23 that Pat has. He has the bottle, and then my 2022 has been open since that year, so there's been more air that's gotten to the
Okay.
22 versus the 23, and then it all depends on age and weather. It just depends on like what were the summers like? Were the summers abnormally hot? Were the summers abnormally cold? What about the winters? Because these things are staying outside, so the weather has a huge factor into the amount of like expanding and contracting that the barrel is doing,
Yeah.
and what happens to the liquid inside the barrel. So it all depends.
Okay. Well, I just tried the 2022, and I will say that that's got a very nice flavor to it. It's very, it's warm like on the roof of my mouth, and
Yeah.
and I don't know,
It's got some heat.
isn't that odd? Yeah, it is kind of like hotter than I expected.
Yeah, it's much hotter than that. You got that spice.
It's definitely more of a mouth heat, though. I'm not getting as much on the
No,
on
it's kind of a mid palate, first palate, tip of
the
your
hug
tongue.
isn't as deep as normally
Yep.
with maybe one that's aged a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Any flavor notes you're getting?
I mean, the pepper. And you got that spice, like whatever you want to call it, whether it's pepper or whether it's just kind of like the baking spices of just, especially right on the front.
Yeah. But it does have a little bit of a sweetness to it. It's got I mean, I know we always say caramel. That's obvious, but I'm trying to think of like a different dessert that would be, I don't know, like a tapioca or like a not yogurt, but some type of like cream-based dessert.
You're close.
Creme brulee?
No, it's not creme brulee.
Okay, all right. What am I supposed to be getting?
So for the appearance, it's rich mahogany, which
yes.
is
It look like many leather-bound books.
Yes, exactly. Wheels of cheese. The nose, again, they kind of mailed it in on this one. 2022 is dark fruit accompanied by brown sugar, and 2023 is dark fruit accompanied by nuts and burnt caramel.
Okay.
On the nose.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's a lot sweeter, the 2022, on the nose. And I think that the 2023 is a little bit more rustic, not as sweet.
Yeah, and I just tried the 23. It's richer. There's not as much of that spice up front that we got from the 22, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of a more of an oily mouthfeel.
Yeah, that 23, I
right
before I tasted either, I would have guessed just by its nosing it, I would have said the 2022 is going to be significantly better.
But it's not.
But that 2023, all right, I'm going to say it, even though I say it all the time. I think that's got a lot of cherries in it. That's very cherry and I don't know, like what's a good cherry dessert?
I don't know.
A cherry pie. I'm saying
cherry pie.
I'm saying a cherry pie. I think that's got a lot of that too. I even like taste like the nuttiness of like a crust. Yeah, I'm saying cherry pie.
Yeah. No, I got
those are my flavor notes. What are we supposed to be getting?
I got you. So the palate on the 22 is a Tour de Force whiskey that opens up with delectable toffee notes. I think that's what you were circling.
That's what I'm
around.
getting there. Yeah.
Not like the creme brulee, and like I feel like that's what you were circling around. Transitioning into rich chocolate balanced by sweet berries and delicate notes of spice. And then the 23, an exceptional whiskey that opens up to deep, rich molasses, giving way to layers of dried fruit and transitioning into rich chocolate and warm, long baking spice finish.
That I don't want to give away my score already, but the 2023 has a much better
it's still going.
Overall finish. And
like the finish is still going. And then again, the finish for the both of these was 2022 robust with complex depth. And then the 2023 was lingering and complex. So whatever.
Yeah. Well,
they didn't really say anything.
Do we want to rate them?
Yeah, I think we can rate them. Let's do 2022 first.
I think it's good. I think it's hard. It's hard sometimes to almost give a rating without comparing it to if we're doing a side by side. So this is going to be harsher than it probably would be if I was just drinking it by itself. So I'm going to say Hothluke. I think it's I'm gonna call it an Empire Luke. I'm gonna go.
See, that's where I was
I'm gonna
going.
go 6'5".
I was going
And of
Empire
course-
Luke and 6'5". Stop reading my mind.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's a fair rating.
But I agree with what you said as far as I think if we're tasting this on our own, it might get a couple ticks higher. But since we're comparing it to something else that obviously both of us think is superior, it's going to get knocked down a couple.
Yeah,
which is fine. That's just how it goes.
And I think this 2023 is
I think
pretty
it's fantastic.
fantastic. Now, again, I don't want to give it too high of a rating because you can't go all the way up to a 10 or a 9. I don't think because of the ones we've had that we've given it a 10 or a 9.
No, you can't.
But I do think giving it. I think I'm gonna go Stormtrooper 8. 8's my ranking.
I can't. I was going to go 7.5. I like looking at Dagobah Loop and Stormtrooper Luke. I don't like. There's no like. Those are two different movies, so I can't say a movie. So I'm just going to say 7.5.
Yeah. Okay.
It can't be like a Hoth Luke or a New Hope Luke or anything like that. It's just
Yeah.
a 7.5.
All right. Well, there it is. EP Justin, what are your thoughts?
I thought that the 22 was going to be a lot hotter than it actually was, based on that sting
Yeah.
on the nose.
Yeah.
I'm in general consensus. I think the 23 overall tastes better. I think it is sweeter. I tend to go for that. Yeah. And my consensus would probably, if you wanted me to put a score on it, I'd probably be right along. I actually think the 22, I'd probably give it a 7.
Okay.
I liked it. And I'd probably say 7.5 for the 23.
Close.
All right. Yeah, we're right there. Again, both are good, but I think if you're comparing the two, the 23 is just got more to it.
I think it's just better.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Bombergers.
Bombergers. Thanks, Pat.
Yeah. Nerd takes.
Nerd takes.